Okay, it's time to put the Fun Cub in the air. We got wind out here at 4 to 6 on the ground. We got a balloon crew back behind us. Let's see if this new receiver takes care of the issues that I had with it last time I was out. And if that putting a little more right angle on the motor ends up helping as well. Let's get over here away from the truck. I'm going to have to launch it toward the truck. That's where the wind is coming from. Okay, let's see if we can get it in the air. Oh yeah, I launched that at about 60% throttle just to be on the safe side. Back off the throttle a little bit. Now, let's see if we have any glitching today with this new receiver. Oh, that was a lot better. I might even, I might take those spacers out that I put in it, which were, I would say about 0.8 millimeters in thickness, and see about putting some nylon washers in it for, and that's the wind pushing it a little bit there. Put a full 1 millimeter thickness washers on it to give it just a tick more right angle on the motor. Nice roll rate for a big bush plane. Now, I wanted to put flaps in it before I brought it out again, but since I was having problems with it last time I was out here, and so far it definitely looks like it was a receiver issue. Plenty of power. Woo! Back off the throttle. Keep it out of the sun. Such a nice flying bush plane. I would hate for anything to happen to it, you know. I haven't heard the motor cut out yet, which is good. That Master Airscrew 9x5 prop seems to be doing very well. Plenty of power. I will have to put a load meter on it and see how it compares in efficiency to the JXF. I do not think, look at that power. I do not think that that Master Airscrew 9x5 is quite as efficient as the JXF 9x5 prop, if I remember my thrust numbers. But it was a pretty well balanced prop right out of the gate. I had a hub that was a little heavy on one side, so a little hot glue on the light side took care of that. Sounds pretty smooth. And we're turning into the wind here. I love this Fun Cub though. Awesome, awesome bush plane. Look at that stall turn. I should have gotten out of the throttle a little bit more there. That's better. Ain't that awesome though? I mean, that is a very, very maneuverable bush plane. I love it. So far, so good. It looks like, at least right now, it looks like it was the receiver that was causing the issue. Isn't that aerobatic? Get out of the throttle some more. Boy, I have a hard time getting out of the throttle with this plane. It's got so much power, and it's only a 2212 1400 kV motor. Yeah, so I was considering putting in a 22 16, but I don't think I'm gonna need to. I'm still fine with my small lipo. I wanted to keep the weight light for this test flight, just to make sure, you know, less mass if it hits the ground, you know what I mean? But extremely maneuverable bush plane, man. I really, really like this plane. I've got a lot of rudder in it. It really spins around on those stall turns. Okay, so let's see if we can bring it in. Drop some altitude here before any of the balloon crew come through here. Oh, in the ditch. Almost did it there. Pulled back on the elevator a little bit too much before I touched down. But, recovered. Okay, so, got the Fun Cub out here. I wanted to see how it handles with a larger battery in it. I've got a 3S 2200 milliamp hour 25C LiPo in it now that weighs 172 grams. I have been flying it with 3S 1300 milliamp hour 30C LiPos that weigh 106 grams. So this battery is 66 grams heavier than what I have been flying it with. So let's see how it likes that weight. There's always a weight at which the planes handle the best. So let's see how this feels. Launching. I really can't tell much of a difference yet. We'll see how it performs with maneuvers with the heavier battery. Seems like I might have gotten it just a slightly tail heavy. I could definitely feel the weight there. That's better. Gotta throttle up a little bit more with that additional 66 grams of weight on it. That plane is so maneuverable. Nice stall turn. You can definitely feel the increased weight performing maneuvers. Don't know if I like it more that way or not yet. I'll have to put a few flights on it with the 3S 2200 milliamp hour and see. I've got a lot of control surface movement in this plane. I think maybe a little more expo. Especially on the ailerons, I think is going to be in order. I have to see how it feels when I come in for a landing. That was more into the wind there. That is a maneuverable plane, is it not? Lots of power. I'm a little out of practice with it. I've put, I don't know, about 4 flights on it recently. Isn't that awesome? I'm not extremely competent with it yet, but I'm getting there. All right, let's go another circuit and bring it in and see how it feels on landing with this heavier battery in it. You can definitely feel the additional, 66 grams of weight. Into the ditch. Yeah, it's different. It's definitely different coming in for a landing, but it feels like you can slow it up just as much with the heavier battery. I'm not sure yet if I like the heavier battery or if I like the lighter battery. I'll have to get used to the feel. Because 66 grams is, it's pretty significant. Okay, so I've flown it with a 3S 1300 milliamp hour 30C LiPo that weighs 106 grams. I've flown it with a 3S 2200 milliamp hour 25C LiPo that weighs 172 grams. And now I have one of my brand spanking new, never flown before, 3S 1500 milliamp hour 35C LiPos that weighs 125 grams. So let's see how it feels with that weight LiPo. Launching. Just checking out the balance. It looks like we got traffic coming through. Yeah, that seems to maintain very well. It looks like it's looks like I got the CG good, and looks like the trim is good. Okay, our traffic is through. Whee! Alright, backing out of the throttle, backing out of the throttle. I increased my expo a little bit on my ailerons and on my elevator. That does feel smoother. Yeah, definitely feels smoother. I can't tell if the wind is pushing it up there or not. I would say it's probably wind because sometimes I get a little drift and sometimes I don't. Like right there, it held its line pretty well. I'm going to try putting that, taking out these 0.8 millimeter spacers for the right angle on the motor and put in 1 millimeter spacers just to see. It's always hard to tell, you know, what kind of drift is being caused by your trim, by your CG, by your motor torque, and how much is wind. Like right there, I got a lot of drift. Did you see that? But I didn't on the previous one, so I'm guessing it must be wind up there. I gotta tell you though, I'm definitely liking the feel of this 125 gram LiPo. Much better than the 172 gram. Yeah, it's still getting drift out of it there. I guess maybe I'm just not getting it pointed into the wind in that direction. Oh yeah, I must have been more pointed into the wind there, because that maintained pretty straight on its rotation, on its loop. think maybe I need to bring the battery forward just a hair. Man, I love the way this does stall turns. Isn't that awesome? Keep it out of the sun. What an awesome plane. Yeah, I definitely like that amount of expo much better. I've got big control surface movement, so it requires a lot of expo to make it smooth. And that feels much better. Much smoother on the controls. Awesome, awesome plane. Okay, let's see if we have any company coming. Alright, looks like we're clear. Let's bring it around and land. Nice. Alright, yeah, that felt good. I really like, I've put 3 flights on it this morning. One with the lightest weight battery, the 3S 1300 milliamp hour, it weighs 106 grams. The 3S 2200 milliamp hour battery that weighs 172 grams. And this 3S 1500 milliamp hour battery that weighs 125 grams. And I gotta tell you, I really like the weight of that 125 gram Lipo. So I think, my opinion, the way I like it to handle, and I like that feel, that light wing loading, and the power it has to pull through maneuvers, and I like the way it felt coming in for a landing too. So I'm guessing that something between 125 to 140 grams on your Lipo weight is probably optimal for me for the way I like to fly. I mean, it felt really good. I think maybe the one, after flying it with that Lipo, I think maybe the 3S 1300s that weigh 106 grams may be just a little bit too light on the wings with that. But that 125 gram Lipo really felt good. It felt really locked in. So not too heavy, not too light, right in the Goldilock zone. Okay, so that went pretty well. No glitching from the new receiver, everything was smooth. I'm just about completely golden on this setup. I'm going to test it one more time once I get the 1mm nylon washers behind the motor mount. But so that's one of the tips. I did not experience any type of torque roll when I first started flying it with an 8-inch prop. But it looks like with a 9 to 10-inch prop, you need a little bit more motor angle on it to counteract the torque. I don't remember there being any type of motor torque when I was flying the 10x3 prop before, but I sure seem to be feeling it now. Alright, so one of the tips is the horizontal and vertical stabilizer assembly. You know, it's a bolt-on, and it's got very good support on the bottom of the tail wheel. Keep it from pushing up, but it does get kicked from side to side, especially in the surface that I land on, and over time that loosened up the horizontal and vertical stabilizer, and I couldn't get it tight enough anymore to take the play out of it. So my recommendation would be, when you're putting this together, to put some glue
you know, on the vertical stabilizer where it fits into the horizontal stabilizer, and also where it fits into the tail boom, and then, you know, tighten that screw down. But it's rock solid now. It has absolutely no play in it. That's what I did. I don't have any reason in the future where I could see that I would need to take off the horizontal and vertical stabilizers. So that has taken care of that. Also, the plastic motor mount in the front, you can't see it from here, but it's embedded in the foam on the fuselage, you know, behind this magnetic cowling here. And I would also recommend taking some glue and pushing some glue in the seam between the plastic and the foam, just so that it can't work loose over time. Now I nosed this in, so that loosened mine up, my motor mount a little bit. So that's what I did. Same thing that I did with the horizontal and vertical stabilizer. You know, put some glue down in that seam, use a scrap piece of foam to push it in, and let it set overnight, and then it'll be good to go. So my motor mount is nice and solid again now. My horizontal and vertical stabilizer assembly are rock solid now. So I did like the weight of the 125 gram Lipo much better than the lighter or the heavier Lipo. So that's the Goldilock zone for me. I think between a Lipo weighing between 125 to 140 grams is going to suit me just fine. Feels very locked in. The Master Airscrew prop is very nice. Gave tons of power. I think the blades are a little bit thinner on this one. This is the Scimitar, the Master Airscrew 9x5 Scimitar prop. And I think the blades are just a little bit shorter and a little bit thinner than the JXF 9x5 prop. I think this one is quieter than the JXF 9x5 prop, but they're both excellent props for this plane. I got no complaints about it whatsoever. When each time that I landed, I had between 3.82 and 3.85 volts per cell. I had my timer set for 6 minutes. I was always over that timer a little bit by the time that I landed. So you should be able to get tons of flight time, even with that 1500 milliamp hour Lipo. My guess is the way I fly it, I could get probably 10 to 12 minutes of flight time out of it, and I was not easy in the throttle. So it's an exceptional bush plane. I absolutely love this plane. It handles really well. Like I said, I'm just about golden on my setup, and then I will publish my updated setup and model files for this plane. I have links to all the components that I used for this kit. This was a kit, so links to all the components, including the different props and the different Lipos that I've used, servos, the motor, everything, the ESC, everything except for the receiver. You know, I don't like to list the receivers because it depends on what you're used to using. You know, and you may use a receiver that's a completely different protocol than mine. So, but everything else is listed, so check it out. I absolutely love this bush plane, and I'll be taking it out again soon. So thank you for watching, and I will see you in the air.